Hi everyone, let's talk about Arkham Horror Final Hour, the 1 hour distilled, shortened version of Great Big Arkham Horror. So if you're wondering where all of the stuff is, I just did a playthrough for it. It's linked in the description if you'd like to see it all laid out on the table and get an idea for how it plays. This is kind of a postscript to all of that stuff. So, the Arkham Horror has already kind of been squished down, revised in its 3rd edition. Was that last year? Everything just merges into one. It already got kind of streamlined and shortened. So this is kind of, shrinking down, and it's part of that big series now. It's part of the, the card game, the 3rd edition series. I'm not sure. They're all in the back of the rulebook. Is Elder Sign still included in there? Because that's kind of part of the old kind of thing. Anyway, this is, in that way that Elder Sign was doing a fast, furious version of it. It's not quite as fast, but it's doing everything that you were doing in normal Arkham Horror. The main story points. You are going around to these locations. You are trying to gather clues to to stop the ritual, to stop the old one finally coming and just destroying everything. But it does it in quite a different way. I'd say different to any of the other iterations of Arkham Horror. Rather than having the kind of it's still full of randomness and chance and peril, but it does it in this different way that not entirely, but it reminds me of Gloomhaven in a way, in the sense, but kind of the top and bottom actions of your Gloomhaven cards. In that game, you have a handful of them, and you are picking two and doing the top of one and the bottom of the other. And then the initiative number determines the order those cards are going to come out, and especially in 4 players, you will inevitably get in each other's ways. Someone will do what you were going to do first, and now you have to decide what you were going to do. Someone will stand in your way, and now you can't do what you want to do. In a similar way, it's got that feel. It's not doing it entirely the same. For example, the initiative numbers are on these separate cards now, and that's what you're determining. You don't get to look at your deck, so it's just a surprise what you're going to get to do this turn, and you have to weigh up what you want to do. Certain cards in your deck you absolutely don't want to do the bottom part of, and based on the cards that you're limited to, sometimes you're not going to have a choice. Sometimes you're going to have a handful of late teens and 20s, and you're probably going to be going last in the round with what you're playing. I've only played it 2 players, by the way, so in that way you were always playing 2 cards each in a round. It's different for in 4 players. Everyone's going to be playing 1 card each. In 3 players, it alternates who's going to play 2 cards. But yeah, you're trying to kind of gauge when you are going to play this card. And there's some that you don't really mind, but often you will have this plan forming in your head of what you are going to now do. And then either because they needed to play a card early more than you did, or maybe they just didn't have the right numbers. The only numbers they had to play messed you up. Not always, but it does happen where suddenly now you have to change your course of action. And it could be those cards that's like gain no benefits but do the bad thing, which is usually activate some monsters in a certain zone, and you don't get the usual benefit of being able to move around or investigate and find those clue tokens. And that's kind of the ultimate aim of the game, to try and find as many of the clue tokens as you kind of have time for, while trying to put out the fires everywhere. You're always gonna kind of seem in this desperate situation where all the locations are half destroyed, and there are still monsters everywhere, and you don't want to go into a certain location because they might just kill you if they activate, but you really need to go in there for a clue. There aren't many clues left, and it's in that place that you don't want to go into. That's another element that you can't really be sure of. You probably you can do it, but it's likely that you won't get perfect information as to which 2 symbols have been left covered up that you need to, when you decide to try and stop the ritual. Everybody plays cards from their hand, and you need to have twice the number of players in matching symbols in those missing clue tokens to be able to win the game. So there's likely a big element of chance in that, because not only in the cards that you manage to draw, you will be holding on to some cards, and that improves the initiative selection as well, because now not only are you trying to think of what have other people played, what am I trying to get done, do I want to go early or late, you are also thinking about which symbols do I want to keep hold of. Like, maybe I don't want to play too many of these old ones' symbols, but this one has got a symbol we know isn't going to be used in the ritual, so I want to get rid of that one more and hang on to cards that might possibly win us the game. So that's a nice little extra as well. But there's another random element involved in just whether you'll win or lose. It's not quite so much not to the scale of, say, Agents of Smersh, where it's like collect all these tokens and then at the end flip them all over and see if you won or not without really much knowledge. You've got more control than that, but it's a balancing act of how long are you going to let the game go on. You can do that ritual at the end of any round. So how long do you think that you can last? How long do you think you can keep the monsters at bay from overrunning the ritual location or killing you all before you really go for that thing? So yeah, I think it's a nice kind of refreshing new entry in it. It's something that I wasn't really expecting. I would expect it shrunk down in time, but still be involving dice and stuff. Still keep a lot of the core Arkham things in there. But I think they've done something different. It reminds me of a game that we love a lot, that I've mentioned a million times. But yeah, does its own spin on that kind of card play as well, which is such a brilliant thing. You can only do the top or bottom part, and which are you going to try and make happen? But in this game, not really knowing which side you are going to end up with. It's if the other players are messing with you in that respect. So yeah, if you're loving Arkham Horror but finding it hard to fit in the playtime, that's what this is for. I think, I don't know, it's still early days. Still going to try it. It's going to end up with a load of expansions and things that are going to make what I'm saying irrelevant anyway. It's probably going to have all sorts of bells and whistles if it ends up with those. But yeah, it's nice. It's got 3 different old ones. They work in different ways. Needs to think differently. I'm kind of thinking already, even though it is too early to say. First impressions kind of are already, how different is this going to end up? Are we going to keep wanting to play this again and again? Not that we really get a chance to exhaust games like that, because it has to be the next one along the line for filming. But yeah, kind of thinking, it's got a lot of, there's a lot of up in the air, there's a lot of randomness, there's a lot of chance, which, not complaining about in the game, perfectly suits what Arkham is all about. But yeah, still unsure if it's one for us, but that doesn't matter for your decision, does it? The playthrough will help you make that decision. I'm going to go now, though, and do another game. There's a pile of games waiting for me to talk about. Bye, everyone.